Buckle up. We've got some drama just over an hour before John Lynch takes the lectern here at the NFL Scouting Combine. It pertains to Trent Williams. He and the 49ers are at a contract standoff. What does this mean? Well, Adam Schefter just reported it. You can take a look at the tweet itself. Trent Williams is scheduled to carry a $39 million salary cap number this season, and he and the 49ers are struggling to find a solution. According to this tweet, if the two sides can't bridge their differences in their standoff, Williams would be expected to join this year's free agency class, making him one of the premier players available. All right, I'm going to explain this the way that only I can explain it, and that is through a salary cap and contract look. And we can take a quick look at the deal that the 49ers reworked with Trent Williams back in the 2024 offseason. It was essentially a 2-year extension with no guaranteed money here in 2026. So he is scheduled to be a free agent regardless after this season. As you can see, Trent Williams is owed right here in this column a $22.2 million base salary, and he's also going to be owed a $10 million option bonus that the 49ers must pick up by April 1st. It is currently February 24th. This column right here, that is the prorated signing bonus that has already been paid out to Trent Williams. That is not money that it's going to flow in this year. This year, the money set to flow in is the base salary plus the $10 million option bonus, which is divided into 4 for the proration here, $2.5 million all the way down through 4 years. They've decided to prorate it over 4 years instead of 5. So 22 plus 10, that is about $32 to $33 million. And then you can add on $750,000 total in per game roster bonus money and $100,000 in workout bonus money. So Trent Williams right now is set for a cash flow of about $33 million in this 2026 season. However, the left tackle market tops out right now at $28 million APY, average per year. In fact, I could get that open on the screen for you right now. Trent Williams is number 2 in APY, and I believe it's Rashawn Slater who is at number 1. Yes, it is Rashawn Slater. Let's visualize this so that everybody can understand exactly where the left tackle market is. Here at the very top, average per year, you can see Rashawn Slater, $28.5 million. Trent Williams with this deal right now that he signed after or before the 2024 season, after the 2023 season, at $27.5 million. The fact that Williams is set to make a little bit over $33 million this year means that the 49ers are trying to have him take a pay cut. And I would assume that they're trying to take him to get a pay cut of about $5 million to bring his total in line, the amount that he's going to make this year in line with the top APY in football, so that it's not an inflated $33 or $34 million. Now, why are they running into this issue? Well, when they signed the contract with Trent Williams to end the impasse ahead of the 2024 season, they obviously wanted to get him on the field in 2024, and they did for 2024 and 2025. And I think that there was always a recognition that that third year would need to be reworked. Why? Well, because you could see that in 2024 and 2025, Trent Williams had a veteran minimum base salary, and they were able to prorate the rest of the money either through signing bonus or option bonus, like an accordion, over several years, including void years in the future of the contract. And that allowed them to keep Trent Williams' salary cap numbers relatively low. $21.8 million in 2024, $21.4 million in 2025. However, the salary cap hit this year because the base salary is so high, $22.2 million, is much, much higher. $38.9 million salary cap hit. Now, normally to lower the salary cap hit, what you do is you just take this base salary right here, convert everything except for the veteran minimum to an option bonus, and then stretch it out over several seasons. However, if the 49ers do that, Trent Williams is still due to make almost $34 million this season. And the 49ers, because this money is not guaranteed this year, by the way, I think that's a very important note to make. Because this money is not guaranteed, the 49ers don't feel that that is fair compensation. They feel that that is not fair to them. They feel that's too much. They feel that $34 million, where the market tops out at $28.5 million right now for offensive tackles. And make no mistake, Trent Williams is still one of the best in the game, even despite the early injury and the slowish start. He finished ranked in the top 5 in whatever metric you want to use. I think the 49ers want the cash paid out to Trent Williams this year to be more reflective of the top of the market than something that is several percentage points above the top of the market, which would be his current pay at $33 or $34 million. So the 49ers are sitting here saying, okay, we owe you this option on April 1st. That is after free agency starts. Once the 49ers have paid $10 million in that April 1st option bonus that prorates over those 4 years, they've lost a significant amount of leverage here because they've already paid money to Trent Williams. They've essentially committed to have him on the football team, even though that $22 million base salary would not yet be guaranteed. So the 49ers proactively ahead of time are trying to get that number lower, right? They want that 22 to probably become, I don't know, probably 16, 17 million. It's anybody's guess. I'll talk to John Lynch in about an hour here in Indianapolis, and maybe we'll have a firmer number. And then I'm assuming they're going to want to take that base salary, the newly reworked base salary, and stretch it out into future seasons by converting it to an option bonus so they can really hack down Trent Williams' salary cap number from $39 million to something in the 20s. They probably want it to look similar to what the salary cap numbers in 2024 and 2025 looked like. Now, Trent Williams knows that he's got a lot of leverage here over the 49ers because he's the all-important left tackle. He's one of the best in the game. Great tackles don't just grow on trees. He's the protector of Brock Purdy's blind side. And, you know, even though he's going to be entering an age 38 season, he's still a very, very damn good football player. So the Trent Williams is saying, I want the money that's currently on the contract. The 49ers are saying, well, it's not guaranteed, and we want to bring that more in line with the top of the market. It's an old-fashioned standoff. Trent Williams would certainly like resolution before free agency begins in a couple weeks. And if I had to guess, and this is just a guess, this was leaked by his agent on purpose about 90 minutes before John Lynch has to take the stage, take the lectern at the NFL Scouting Combine here in Indianapolis. So we're now going to get to hear what John Lynch thinks of all this, but I would say that in all likelihood, cooler heads will prevail here because I don't see how the 49ers would expect to operate at left tackle without Trent Williams moving forward. Obviously, he was injured at the very end of the regular season. Austin Pleasance played instead of him, and it was a big drop-off, as you would expect. Trent Williams might be the most athletic lineman in NFL history. He's definitely one of the best offensive tackles in NFL history. He's been massively important to the 49ers offense, X's and O's wise, but also to the locker room ever since he joined the team via Washington in 2020. That was one of the great trades that the 49ers have made under John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. And they've had to work out the money situation multiple times now with Trent Williams. After 2020, they had to negotiate what was at the time a record-setting deal with Trent. At the last hour, he chose the 49ers over the Kansas City Chiefs, who are also offering a lot of money. And then that deal was renegotiated following that 2023 season ahead of 2024. And Trent Williams again became the highest paid tackle in football. But I do have to emphasize, at the time of that contract, year 3, the lame duck year for Trent Williams, was looking like it could be a thorn. And this is something that I thought we might hit later in this offseason, but it does make sense given the fact that the option bonus triggers on April 1st, that some drama or a standoff comes sooner, because the 49ers certainly don't want to get to April 1st and pay out $10 million without feeling comfortable about paying out the base salary of $22.2 million to Trent Williams over the course of the regular season. The way that base salary works, you take the amount in this column and you divide it by the 17 games of the regular season, and players are paid by week. So base salary is not going to be owed until the regular season, but the option bonus, again, intentionally prorated here over several seasons, comes in at $10 million. That's going to be paid out by the 49ers on April 1st. Signing bonus money, that is already in Trent Williams' bank account. Now, right now, the 49ers, they can do a couple different things when they end up resolving this, as I expect they will with Trent Williams. But one of the things that they can do is they can give him another extension. And maybe because he's going to be 38 years old this season, that is something that they're shying away from doing, right? A couple of years ago, after the 2023 season, Trent was still in his mid-30s, and I think it still made sense to tack on a couple years to the contract. Now, maybe the 49ers are balking at that, and, it makes a lot of sense to just tack on more years, spread money out via signing bonus, and then you can cut down the base salary in this season, maybe even cut down some of the cash flow in this season so that more of the cash flows in 2027. But if the 49ers are balking at actually adding years to Trent Williams' contract, then you could see how things can get a little bit tighter here, because the only way to properly spread out cash flow or to reduce cash flow from the $34 million that's expected to come in this 2026 season is to cut some of the base salary, to ask Trent Williams to take a pay cut. And it's not surprising that before free agency, just a couple weeks away, Trent Williams, as good as he is, would be not okay with taking a pay cut, that he would make a little bit of a stink about that, or at least his agent would make a stink about that. And we now have word coming in from Adam Schefter that the 49ers and Williams are struggling to find a contractual solution. So everything that I have just said, I feel fits with what Schefter reported just a few minutes ago. And if the two sides can't bridge their differences, and I think this is a little bit of a bluff from both sides, or the 49ers would be the ones who would have to release Trent Williams, then he would join this year's free agent class. I just don't see what the contingency plan for the 49ers would be. But for that, we can let John Lynch speak in about an hour here in Indianapolis. At worst, this would be a trade, I would think. I mean, Trent becoming a free agent, 49ers not getting anything for such a valuable piece, that wouldn't really make sense to me. That's why I believe that these words right here, Williams would be expected to join this year's free agent class, those do seem like a bluff. I really don't think that Williams would be headed to free agency. I would think that the 49ers, in a worst-case scenario, would try to recoup some value from a player who's still playing at a very, very high level. But the money here speaks a story, and the top contracts in the NFL at that left tackle position. Slater with the Chargers right now at the very top, $28.5 million per year. I'm sure that is what the 49ers are using as an anchor point in negotiations here, because Trent Williams is scheduled to bring in a whole heck of a lot more than that. 22.2 plus 10 is 32.2. That's the option bonus, plus $950,000 in total bonus money. So you've got $32.2 million plus $950,000. That adds up to about $33 million, between $33 and $34 million for Trent Williams in cash flow this season, which is a good chunk of change, over $5 million more, or about $5 million more than the top APY in the league this year. Now, it is not unheard of to hear of a player making more money than the top APY in a single season. Cash flows in these contracts can be misbalanced, but it isn't very common to hear of a player making more than the APY in the final season of his contract. Normally, there are big signing bonuses up front, like the ones that Trent Williams has earned from the 49ers over multiple contracts. You can see signing bonuses in this column. He has earned $73.36 million in signing bonus money from the 49ers over the course of his career there this decade. So normally that money comes up front and then is spread against the salary cap like what? Like an accordion. That is a popular salary cap technique. It's a proration. So normally it works that the money hits the account early and then the cap hits are spread out and the money at the end of the contract is not as great, at least in terms of cash flow. But in this Trent Williams case, this base salary, because the 49ers don't want to operate a standard restructure of it, which would just commit them to, I mean, it would extend the dead money over several seasons, but because they see that the cash flow here is very, very high for Trent Williams in 2026, they want a pay cut on top of or before the restructure, a pay cut slashing the base salary before it is amortized as an option bonus and spread out into future years. And obviously, that is something that Trent Williams does not seem to be fully okay with. Now, according to what Adam Schefter is saying, the 49ers and Williams have been working at this, but they're struggling to meet in the middle. So, let's look here again. Let's go back to the contract. Let's see, $22.2 million base salary. That's what's fungible here. Or they can change up how that option bonus is paid out. Maybe you could just slash the option bonus or cut it in half. But let's just assume that the base salary is what they work on, because all the money ends up coming from the same pot and heading to the same bank account. It's just how it's accounted for on the salary cap sheet. So say that the total amount of money that you want to pay out to Trent Williams this year does not exceed, in the 49ers' desire, $29 million. They're currently at about $33 million in change. So they would have to slash about $4 million from the base salary to make that possible. So maybe the 49ers are saying, hey, Trent, $17 or $18 million base salary, would you be okay with that? And Trent saying, no, I don't want to go under 20. We signed this contract at $22.2 million. 49ers view this $22.2 million number because it is not guaranteed, more as a placeholder, but Trent Williams wants to make sure that he stays at the very top of the heap in terms of APY. So he is demanding that money is above a certain threshold. We don't know the exact figures. Hopefully we get some of them from John Lynch when we speak to him in less than an hour now here in Indianapolis. But this obviously is going to set a very intriguing table for the next couple of weeks with free agency just around the corner. The 49ers might also be in a position right now where they invest in a center this year, in Tyler Linderbaum. Now, that is not as likely. Linderbaum is going to be expensive. Linderbaum might become the first $20 million per year center in the NFL. The high watermark of that market is currently at $18 million. But right now, Baltimore has been unable to get Tyler Linderbaum to sign a contract that they have said is the tops in the market. Now, maybe it's just 1 year, $18.01 million. They haven't defined that, but there's a very, very good chance that Tyler Linderbaum does become available, and a very good chance that he signs for a massive amount of money somewhere. Whether or not the 49ers are heavily in on those sweepstakes remains to be determined, and I think that a lot might be determined by how this Trent Williams situation gets resolved. At the end of the day, the 49ers do have ultimate leverage here because Trent Williams is under contract with them, and they have that team control over the 2026 season. So I do not see them letting Trent Williams go for absolutely nothing. Mike tells me that the chat says Trent for Crosby. Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, guys. Trent's only under contract for 1 more year. We'll see how long he wants to keep on playing. He has said that he still wants to keep on playing for a while, maybe even up through age 40. Well, when you look at the contract there, that would be for 3 more seasons. So, and he said that back when he signed the deal in the 2024 season as well, that he wanted to play all the way up through 40. All of these retirement rumors surrounding Trent Williams have been false and, quite frankly, asinine. If the 49ers do believe that Trent still has that in the tank, well, theoretically, maybe they can find one of those compromises where they do tack on another year here, at least through age 39, so they can reduce the cash flow in 2026. yet still guarantee Trent Williams some money in a subsequent season or seasons. That is what we call a win-win in these contractual situations. But Max Crosby is somebody who's still under contract for several more seasons, a significantly younger player than Trent Williams. That's not how trades in the NFL work. A deal like that would be much, much more complex than a simple swap of Trent Williams and Max Crosby. And to be honest, the 49ers need Trent Williams, and they also need more edge rushing help. They need more edge rushing health. And, these things are not mutually exclusive. I think they need all of the above as they try to build as robust of a roster as possible. Mike says, let's say the 49ers do cut Trent, just to play devil's advocate. How does that hurt or help the 49ers salary cap? Well, in the long term, it would help the 49ers salary cap because Trent Williams would not be on the books, and he wouldn't take the money that the 49ers have earmarked for him this year, which is the $33 million that would be paid out. So in the long term, it would be $33 million in salary cap savings, but there would be a dead money acceleration. I could show you guys exactly how that would work. You would take the money that's scheduled to hit in future seasons. So that would be 27, 28, these two right here, and they would accelerate to hit the books right now. So 12 million plus about 8 million, it'd be about $20 million hitting from the future into 2026, plus about 13 million that's already going to be hitting regardless with the signing bonus right now. So you'd look at about $33 million of dead money hitting this year, all while Trent Williams wouldn't make his base salary and would not make his option bonus. So that'd be about 33 million as well. So it would be a wash. So I don't think that it would move the needle all too much for the 49ers salary cap wise in this season. Remember that the 49ers have plenty of space this season. This is about a long-term maintenance issue with the salary cap, and they're going to have a lot of expenses crowding onto the books in 2027 with these contracts being backloaded. We're seeing a lot of these prorations moving into the future. Brock Purdy's salary cap hit is going to increase by a whole heck of a lot from 2026 to 27. Same can be said of a whole heck of a lot of other players on this 49ers roster. They redid the deals of George Kittle and of Fred Warner this past off season with escalating costs moving into the future. And that's just how the 49ers have to approach things moving into 2027 and beyond. They have to make sure that they have enough salary cap carryover space in each season because they've been the number 2 highest spender in the entire NFL since Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over back in 2017. They've given out more big A-list contracts, including multiple A-list contracts to Trent Williams over that time. And that means they've got to be very, very financially efficient on the back end of these things. If you see slippage of $5 or $6 million in these deals that you can correct, well, then you've got to go out there and try to correct it. You've got to try to get the best deal possible, which is why these teams, or one of the reasons why, they don't guarantee money on the back end of these contracts. This is open-ended money. The base salary here for Trent Williams, not guaranteed. Neither is this option bonus. That's not going to be paid until April 1st. And I view that as an inflection point in all of this, April 1st, because the 49ers do not want to pay that $10 million without the rest of this contract resolved. Back in 2024, Trent Williams did not have an offseason inflection point. So the 49ers waited through all of training camp. And, Brandon Ayuk was the big distraction that year. But Trent Williams that was also something that 49ers fans were worrying about. It was also something that we were writing about on an almost daily basis. And it was also something that wasn't resolved until right before the 49ers started the season. They made sure to build in a trigger into that extension of Trent Williams that was worked out in 2024 for April 1st so that there would be movement one way or the other far ahead of training camp. So if you want to say, hey, the 49ers might have learned from some mistakes in the past, I mean, it's hard to say because back in 2024, Trent Williams was playing several years into the deal signed in 2021, but the 49ers, I think, recognized at that time, since he was already advancing in age. Now he's going to be 38 years old. I think they recognized that there would be a possibility that Trent Williams would be in a position that they didn't want to offer an extension, but he would still be in a contract dispute with them. So I think that that's why they inserted the April 1st option, because it definitely is something that promotes resolution sooner rather than later. All right, I'm going to wade into that comment section. Let's go check out what you guys are talking about. Then I've got to leave this hotel and I've got to head to the Indianapolis Convention Center to ask John Lynch all about this. Yeah, this has absolutely nothing to do with Purdy. I'm sure we've got comments that are not very intelligent right now. This is not a very smart comment. It is not time to cut Trent. He is not too old. He was still playing top 3 football last season. This is simply a contract dispute where they're trying to find the right, precise value and cash flow for the 2026 season. And Trent is still a very good player, and the 49ers still spend a whole heck of a lot of money. If they want to continue spending money on the rest of the roster, they're going to have to find the most efficient way forward with the current roster, which is what we're currently seeing right here with Trent Williams. It's not all that often that you get a player, a future Hall of Famer, heading into an age 38 season to begin with. So you're dealing with a more delicate set of circumstances here, where just tacking on years extension-wise doesn't necessarily make as much sense. I am still looking at some questions. Again, the quality of comments is not great today. I don't expect it to be. That's why I spend 30 minutes explaining this stuff for you guys. But come on, we can have a little bit more of a civil discussion. Why does it seem that the 49ers just went through this? Well, because they did, but that was in 2024, right? And they knew that when they reworked the deal in 2024 that it'd be good for 2 seasons. And then you could see here, it's in the deal, 2026, $22.2 million base salary. That's high. That's not the veteran minimum. That left room to be reworked. So I think that the idea was that there would be a reworking at some point heading into 2026. And the 49ers, by building that option bonus on April 1st, are moving the rework date sooner than it had to be in 2024. So the restructure was going to happen, but the 49ers want to add a pay cut to the whole restructure process here with Trent Williams. I think it makes perfect sense from both sides. I think that Trent is going to fight for as much money as possible, and I think that the 49ers want to bring this contract into line with the top of the market when it comes to total money paid out. All right, these just are not good questions. Who do I think the 49ers' first 3 picks should be? We're dealing with much, much more relevant news right now, the Trent Williams contract standoff. Asking somebody who the first 3 picks of the draft should be at any time, even if there's no other news, is just not a productive question. That's like asking me, what play are the 49ers going to run 27 plays into the game in Australia against the Rams in week 1? And then what play are they going to run on their second drive? And then what play are they going to run on their third? I have no idea what the team is even going to look like at that point. And I have no idea what the score is going to be, what the down and distance is going to be. So just trying to like prognosticate the draft. I mean, a lot of people fool people online and make some money that way by doing endless mock drafts with like 25 picks in them, but it's just not smart analysis. Right now, we're talking about money, we're talking about Trent Williams, and we're talking about realistic ways forward for the 49ers to attack this situation so they can get Trent secured and happy here for the 2026 season. So, right here, I think that what the 49ers can do is they can make some of this incentive-based. I think that ultimately that is a path of action that ends a lot of contract disputes, is that you keep money attainable, but tie it more to incentives than as a firm base salary. So, for example, Trent Williams at 22.2 million base salary, as a vested veteran in this league, if he stays with the 49ers past week 1 of the season, which he will if he's still on the roster, then all of this 22 million would become guaranteed. The 49ers can find a potential middle ground here with Trent Williams by maybe even keeping this number at the 22 million, but converting some of it to an incentive-based amount instead of pure base salary. Obviously, we don't know what the exact asks of both sides are, but I think that I have to leave you with this, that he's scheduled to make over 33 million this season in cash flow, and that 28.5 million is the top of the tackle market, and that the 49ers are trying to shepherd their salary cap situation as carefully as possible. You can't blame them for being cost efficient, since they've given out the most big money contracts of any team in the NFL ever since Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over in 2017. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. I'm off to the convention center. Time to talk to John Lynch and company. We will see you very soon. That's the latest on Trent Williams.